67% of the homeless people, and the government does not even have these numbers. I have these numbers because I just went to school for this. 67% of the homeless people that are on the streets, that you see on the streets, are homeless because, you're not going to believe it, and this is in Canada, they're homeless because they don't have a doctor. They cannot find a doctor. They cannot get a doctor. And you're like, how can they be homeless because they don't have a doctor? Well, I'll tell you, the reason why they're homeless is because we have a support program called the Disability Support Program, and you must be able to see a doctor to get approved for the Disability Support Program. Now, these people have mental issues. They have they've got, it's more than mental issues, because the mental issues, the lack of education, the addiction that follows it, because they've turned to get help and they can't get help. It's kind of crazy, but 67% of people are homeless because they don't have a doctor. That's what we're faced with in Canada right now. So, the government needs to start doing something about this, because it's getting absolutely ridiculous. And people are like, oh, I can get a doctor right now. I know somebody that changed doctor 5 times, Well, good for you. Doctors are not accepting patients if there's more than one person. They'll take the odd single person. They will not take families. They are refusing to take roster a full family, especially a family of 5 or 6. They're refusing to roster that family. Where I live is in a rural area, and there is, I've been on a waiting list for 5 years. I can't find a doctor, and there's tons and tons and tons of people around me that are the same way. But if you are single and you're not a family, it doesn't seem to be a problem. You can get a doctor literally, in a few weeks. Matter of a few weeks, you can get a doctor. It doesn't make any sense that they're being biased that way, but that's what they're doing. They're being biased towards people, and if they've got a family, they don't want to take them on. And then if you've got if you have something if you have a certain thing wrong with you, a lot of doctors won't deal with you. If you've had certain surgeries completed, they won't deal with you. If you there's a lot of things that go around it, but it seems to be that people who are homeless are facing all the same issues and challenges right now, and it's all because it comes down to they don't have a doctor. So, there's nothing that anybody else can do. There's absolutely nothing anybody can do other than the government, and the government is refusing to do anything. The government is making the situation worse. I understand for the strong to survive, the weak must fall through the cracks. That's one of the oldest sayings. So, just people need to understand that it can't keep going this way. It can't keep being this way. There's not enough services for everybody. The food banks are stretched so thin right now. Our food bank in our town, I donate every single year to. The second that we have fresh produce in our garden, I donate. And I'm still about 2 months away from being able to properly support the food bank. But it doesn't really matter. It's if the government's not willing to help, and the government is not willing to help, all they have to do is ease some restrictions, which they can do, and buy these people time, then things will be better. Things will be a lot better. But and then they say that there's no housing. There's no housing. There is There's housing. There is units. I do property cleanup and I do property maintenance and stuff. And I go to these places and there are units that are sitting vacant and have sat vacant for years in public housing, in government owned housing. And they're not doing anything about it. They're not doing a single thing about it. There's a building in Trenton, Ontario that's owned by the government and it's only at 50% capacity. 50% capacity. There's hundreds of homeless people in Trenton. Trenton's very, very small. There's like a 2 or 3% of Belleville is homeless. 36% of Belleville, Ontario, their residents are of no fixed address. So the government's got to do something. It's getting ridiculous.